Hi, everybody. Captain Lou here with another 12-ounce sports update on this Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2024. Before we get started, I want to take this time to thank all of the veterans that have served for us in our great country, letting us do what we love to do, and that's give you sports updates and do all of our sports programming here on 12-ounce sports. And for those of you that gave the ultimate sacrifice, your families are in our thoughts and prayers. Again, we think of you on this Veterans Day 2024. What a great weekend for college sports, the college football scene, starting maybe the cream rising a little bit to the top, or maybe if you're in the SEC, a little more convoluted. Who knows? But it was a great weekend nonetheless in college football with some huge games involving playoff ready teams and teams maybe on the outside looking in the playoffs. We'll go through some of those scores. And of course, the NFL Sunday, some wild finishes, some last minute finishes, some blowouts, a little bit of everything in the NFL. And we'll talk about that. And also tonight's Monday night matchup, the Rams and Miami. The Rams a 2.5-point favorite against the Miami Dolphins at home. And Pavel Datsyuk, a member of the 2002 Detroit Red Wings team, is getting elected into the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame. That and a whole lot more right here on 12-ounce sports. All right, let's get started in the NFL. Last night, Sunday night football, the Lions coming in with a record of 7-1, the NFC's best. They spotted the Houston Texans a 23-7 halftime lead. Jared Goff, 3 interceptions in the first half, 2 more in the second half, 5 total. But that didn't deter the Lions. They were able to mount a comeback. They got it all the way to 23-23 off a 58-foot Jake Bates field goal. And then Kari Farbarn with an opportunity to take the lead for the Texans with a 58-yard field goal of his own. Wide left, not even close. Then Detroit got the ball back. They were able to get it down to about the 34-yard line, setting this up courtesy of the Detroit Lions Football Network.
There's the snap, spot, kick away. It is up, and it is good! He got it! Yes, we're going to fly home on the wings of Jake Bates! Oh, baby! Good from 58, good from 52, and that's good enough for a victory for the Detroit Lions.
Indeed, it was. The Lions' improbable comeback victory, one for the ages for the Lions. Not good enough for some of us here on our network, but good enough for me, as they are now 8-1 atop the NFC, and of course the NFC Central, or NFC North rather, 1 game ahead of the Minnesota Vikings, who won a slog fest over the Jacksonville Jaguars by the score of 12-7. Indeed, it was the AFC South getting blasted yesterday. We talked about that game with the Lions and with the Houston Texans. The Colts, they lost another one to the Buffalo Bills, 30-20. Quarterback situation murky at best in Indianapolis. And also we talked about the Jaguars losing to the Minnesota Vikings at home by the score of 12-7. Not a good weekend for the AFC South. Elsewhere yesterday in the NFL, let's talk about Pittsburgh. They are still atop the AFC North. A big win over the Washington Commanders, 2 teams that, in my opinion, are going to be in the playoffs at the end of the year. The Commanders losing a tough one at home, 28-27. Pittsburgh, as we mentioned, on top, 1 game ahead of the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North. Philly and the Sun blinded the Cowboys. Again, the Cowboys with another embarrassing home loss, 34-6. They now stand at 3-6. Definitely not going to the playoffs. Dak Prescott will be out for the rest of the year. He's going to get surgery on that torn hamstring. Who knows if he's going to be as effective as he has been right after getting that monster contract, making him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, the highest paid player in all of the NFL. CMC made his comeback. Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. He helped them edge the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night by the score of 23-20, getting a last-second field goal from Jake Moody, who was 3 for 6 on the field goal department for Kansas City, but he got it when it counted. They are now back at 5-4, 1 game behind the Arizona Cardinals, who took down the Jets yesterday in grand fashion, 31-6 in the desert. They're on top of the AFC or the NFC West. Watch out for the Cardinals. Kyler Murray playing probably some of his best football that he's played throughout his career. That, of course, good enough for them as they are now on top of the NFC West. And we go back to the Lions thriller. How about Kansas City? They are sitting atop at 9-0 with a last-second win, thanks to some heroics in the last second with that win yesterday, getting a blocked field goal against the Broncos. The Broncos pretty much outplayed them throughout the contest, but not when it counted towards the end. Kansas City escapes with that AFC West win, 16-14 over the Denver Broncos. Kansas City still 9-0, the number one team in the NFL, winning every way they can. Just like the Detroit Lions, the great teams know how to win when they have their off days. Finally, the Chargers, they're rolling as well. Big win over the Titans at home. They're 6-3. Jim Harbaugh's got the team playing very, very well in the NFC West, or the AFC West, as they are still behind Kansas City, but sitting pretty firmly in one of the wild card spots. All right, let's take a quick look at the NFL standings as we get set through the games coming up tonight. Buffalo on top of the AFC North with a record, or AFC East rather, 8-2. They've got a 5-game lead over the Jets and the Patriots. Patriots, by the way, beat the Chicago Bears yesterday in Chicago. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The Bears were thought of maybe to be in a wild card team. And I guess the Fugazi is finally exposed as they're now 4-5. The Patriots with their third win of the year. Pittsburgh, we mentioned, a half-game lead over the Baltimore Ravens with a 7-2 record. The Bengals at 4-6. They're pretty much on life support as well. In the AFC South, with that, Houston lost and everybody else losing in the AFC South. Houston still with a 2-game cushion. You can call it 3 as they've got a season sweep of the Indianapolis Colts. Houston at 6-4. The rest under 500. And we talked about the Chiefs at 9-0. The Chargers at 6-3. Denver with that loss is now at 5-5. Look out for the Eagles with that win over the Cowboys yesterday. They're on top of the NFC East with a 7-2 record. They're going to take on the Commanders Thursday night. That is going to be one heck of a Thursday night broadcast on Prime Video. 7-2. The Commanders sit at 7-3. The Cowboys and the Giants, well, they're playing for a draft pick. In the NFC North, we mentioned the best team in the league right now, or at least in the NFC. The Detroit Lions are at 8-1. You've got the Vikings at 7-2, and the Packers off this week at 6-3. The Falcons, they lose to New Orleans yesterday. They're back down to 6-4 with a 2-game lead still on the Buccaneers, 3 on the Saints and the Panthers. And the Cardinals with a half-game lead over the 49ers. The Rams can go to 5-4 with a win tonight over Miami. And we mentioned the Rams are a 2.5-point favorite over the Miami Dolphins in Los Angeles tonight. The over-under on that is at 48.5. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at what happened on college football this weekend. We'll give you the rankings for football and basketball and more here on the 12-Ounce Sports Update on 12-Ounce Sports and on our YouTube channel, 12-Ounce Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 12-Ounce Sports Update here on 12-Ounce Sports and our YouTube channel. We ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can get all of our content. You can go back and archive all of our shows, our daily shows, our updates, everything right here on 12-Ounce Sports. College football this past weekend, a big one in Death Valley, Alabama and LSU. A loser-go-home match, if you will, kind of like the old pro wrestling days where the loser leaves town. Well, LSU better get their bags packed. They're done as far as the college football playoff is concerned, as Alabama boat raced them in Death Valley 42-13. They're right in the middle of it now. Watch out for Alabama. Georgia, we all thought maybe they were underrated when the first college football playoff rankings came out. Not so fast, my friend. They got punked at Ole Miss. They're now with 2 losses. Miami, they got exposed by Georgia Tech. Boy, oh boy, they've survived a few close ones, but that Georgia Tech defense, underrated at that, was able to easily defeat Miami. And Indiana, they got a scare at home against Michigan. Maybe looking a little bit past Michigan ahead of their showdown with Ohio State in a couple of weeks. They survived 20-15. They are now ranked in the top 5 for the first time in program history. It's unbelievable. They've got a 10-0 record. They're off, as I mentioned, this week. The horseshoe awaits them. Ohio State. That's going to be one heck of a matchup. Can't wait to see that. Colorado wins again. They're creeping closer to a playoff berth. They've got a few losses, but if they can win that conference championship against more than likely BYU, they could sneak into that college football playoff. Speaking of the college football playoff, BYU is still one of the 4 undefeated teams left in the country as they survived Utah. Some questionable refereeing, but you could say that about just about any game right now in college and pro football. They survived that. They win, as did Ohio State. And how about Notre Dame? They keep pace. 1-9, Florida State, 52-3. Wow. You talk about Michigan, how the mighty have fallen. How about Florida State going from 13-1, probably 1-11. All right, the rankings ahead of the next college football playoff in college football is, or in college foot. Well, I thought I had them up here. Anyways, in the top 5, let's see if we can't get those up real quick. All right, Oregon sits atop the top 5, along with Ohio State at 2. Texas squeezes in at number 3. Then you've got Penn State and Indiana at 4 and 5. Tennessee, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Ole Miss. They're in the top 10. Then you've got Georgia, Miami, Boise, SMU, Texas A&M, and Army rounding out the rankings. So some interesting rankings there as we get into the college football playoff, which is coming up. The next rankings will be coming up tomorrow night. Quickly in men's and women's basketball here in this as the season starts up real quick in the women's basketball. South Carolina gets all 31 first place votes. UConn is second, USC third, Texas fourth, UCLA fifth. No real changes in the top 8 with Notre Dame, LSU, Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. They round out the top 10. In men's college basketball, Kansas is still on top at number 1, Alabama 2, UConn 3, Gonzaga up to 4, Auburn is 5th, Duke 6th, Iowa State 7th, Houston 8th, Arizona 9th, and North Carolina 10th. Kansas State with a big matchup tomorrow against Michigan State. All right, and finally, in the world of professional hockey, Pavel Datsyuk becomes the 10th member of the 2002 NHL Stanley Cup champion Detroit Red Wings to get enshrined into the NHL or the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. One of the greatest teams ever assembled, that being the Detroit Red Wings of 2002. Pavel Datsyuk, one of the all-time greats on the defense for the Red Wings and in the NHL history. He finally gets his mark as he's going into the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame. All right, that's going to do it for this 12-ounce sports update. Again, don't forget, coming up tonight, Monday Night Football, the Rams against Miami. The Rams, 2.5-point favorites at home. The over-under on this one, 48.5. A big game for both teams. If Miami has any hope to get back in the playoff hunt, they need this one, as well as the Rams. They need to keep pace with the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. All right, again, that's going to do it here for another 12-ounce sports update. We want to thank everyone again for welcoming us into your homes and on your computers, however you're watching us around the world here on 12-ounce sports and the 12-ounce sports network on YouTube. Join us for all of our live shows. Another Captain Lou extravaganza will be here Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. A brand new ACHA Power Play will be live tomorrow night at 7. Frank Cristofaro, the head coach of Indiana Tech, will join us. He just got his 250th career victory. We'll talk to him about that. And a big announcement in the ACHA, 5 more teams are bumped up to Division I as the competition gets even more and more intense. All right, everybody, thanks again for joining us. Happy Veterans Day. Again, thanks to all the veterans that served us here and making this possible for us to do what we'd love to do here on 12-ounce sports. Captain Lou saying, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the